Everyone, we're sharing our first update about the stimulus bill. It's called the HEALS Act. This is separate from the CARES Act. It's not the PPP. It's not related to the HEROES Act. This is the HEALS Act proposed by Senator McConnell earlier this week. Today, the unemployment, $600 for unemployment ended. And so everyone was looking forward to, hopefully today, there will be more of an agreement. However, from what I read, it's been a lot of back and forth. There are 4 proposed bills, and all 4 were rejected by the Democrats. Now, I know you could probably be a little bit confused why Democrats have rejected all these bills. Because from what I read, the Republican side wants to piecemeal, meaning only have certain parts to be approved, to be part of the passage of the bill into law. So the Democrats want everything all together, comprehensive bill, to have the resolution. Because of course what Democrats are asking for is continuation of the $600 unemployment benefit. In fact, President Trump apparently agreed to it, but it's not just up to him, right? It's the Senate. The Senate only wants to offer $200 per week for unemployment. I'm here to give you an update about the content of that, but also the focus on many other channels has been on what you, as a constituent, may get. There's a lot to unpack about where else the money is going. But first, let's give you a recap of what the constituents, the people, will pay. Now, the second stimulus check is for $1,200 for individual. If it's for a married couple, there's tax credits for employers. There's unemployment benefits, but only at $200 per week. There's significant funds to help students get back to school. It's something that Democrats wanted to put in there. Apparently, it's been agreed upon is liability protection for workers, specifically for healthcare workers and schools and employers. So let's talk about what's not in the proposed bill. There's no hazard pay for essential workers. There's no eviction protection, even though President Trump apparently said he wants that to the end of the year. There's no new additional funding to state and local governments. Some questions y'all had that we may have answered earlier is that, will the $600 per week unemployment benefit continue? And as of right now, no, because the Senate bill proposed by McConnell was only for $200 per week. They did propose, the Republican senators proposed an extension of the 1 week, additional week of the $600 unemployment benefit, but Democrats didn't want it because, again, that was only piecemeal. It was just part of the puzzle, part of the solution. And that $200 per week would only go until the end of September. So that's only for 2 months. We all know, most of us, I feel like a good amount of us know that this is going to last. The coronavirus somehow is just going to last until at least the fall, because it's flu season soon. So the next thing is, who will actually receive the stimulus check? Well, I can tell you they actually said no dead people. No dead people are going to receive the money. Well, that's a shocker, isn't it? In addition to $1,200 per person for adjusted gross income up to $75,000 per person that was earned in 2019 or 2018, you can get $500 per dependent. So it can include college students and adults. Now, folks without income can still apply, are still eligible. Folks on SSI are still eligible. This is only for U.S. citizens and U.S. residents. Undocumented folks cannot receive this benefit. Even though I know even my own clients pay into the system. Granted, not everyone does, but many of my clients do pay into the system. Now, something that could affect your household is a mixed households, which may include like a U.S. citizen and a person who's undocumented that has a individual tax ID number. They're not eligible. This also excludes prisoners. People who owe money to certain entities can also be eligible. But if you have past due child support, former significant other is going to get that. Again, the part of the bill that I'm most concerned about is actually about who else is getting the money. And that's the government. The government is paying themselves, essentially. They're getting $306 billion in this bill. Whatever you read in the news, they don't talk about that part. All the bickering back and forth, they don't talk about how much government money is going back into the government. Now let's take a look. 1.2 billion is going to USCIS as a loan. 3 billion is going to Department of Homeland Security in general. CDC is getting 3.4 billion. That obviously I understand. Here's a rundown. 29.4 billion is going to the Department of Defense. $2,400. If an added surprise, I'm curious to know what exactly that money is going to. We'll get you a closer look. Other notable items is that the Department of Labor, including Health and Human Services, Education Department, and they call related agencies, are getting $226 billion. Agriculture, Rural Development, FDA, and related agencies are receiving $20.457 billion. Now, those are more notable. Now, those agencies are getting the majority of the pot. Even the legislative branch is getting $78 million. I'm not really sure why they need to be getting money. But let's take a closer look. So I wanted to go over some of the items here on the screen. This shows you all the different agencies that are receiving money out of this HEALS Act bill. So again, it's $306 billion. They say it could come out to up to $3 trillion actually. But I wanted to share specifically some of these numbers. So I'm going to show you the bar graph that we have. And the agency that gets the most, the allocation, is the Labor Department, Health and Human Services, which includes the CDC, National Institute of Health, Education Department, and a few related agencies. So again, $226 billion there. The next highest is the Defense Department, 29.4, which is still alarming. Of course, it's not as high as the 226 billion, but that's because that's where most of the health agencies are. It's for the health agencies. So I'm not sure why the military needs money right now. So we'll take a closer look. The third next highest amount is 20.457. It includes the Agriculture Department, Rural Development, FDA, and other related agencies. So we're going to go back to this chart here. Let's go to the Labor Department. $226 billion. Part of it going to the Department of Labor. That's reasonable, $2.5 billion, which covers unemployment. And then we go to the Department of Health and Human Services, $118.4 billion. And only 3.4 goes to the CDC, actually. And the NIH, National Institute of Health, that Dr. Anthony Fauci leads, is $15.5 billion. And from what I understand, that's mostly for research. $150 million for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The next hot topic after stimulus check and unemployment is what kind of money is going to be for the childcare providers, the daycare centers. And this bill shows $16.7 billion. So earlier we were talking about the hazard pay that's not included in the Senate bill, the HEALS Act. The HEROES Act by the Democrats proposed at least $200 billion provide for a hazard pay. So that's a significant increase. Here we are to Department of Education. That's $105.1 billion. I'm going to provide a link to this. This is from the Senate Appropriations website. So there's a section that specifically says that military construction and veteran affairs don't get any money from this bill, the HEALS Act. So this one confuses me a bit. Department of State is getting $425 million. It says the proposal provides this amount for consular and border security programs to mitigate the impact of declining visa and passport revenue. Well, that's pretty obvious. President Trump had issued proclamations to stop any entries or any, and also the consular offices to be closed. So he kind of put that on himself. There is tenant-based rental assistance, but that only comes at 2.2 billion. Now, if we compare that to what I was mentioning, the Department of Defense, they're getting 29.4. I don't see what the relevancy is of giving money to defense right now. But, that's why it's important. Follow the show. We're going to find out what's in the fine details, go through it like a fine comb. Now, if we go look closely at the Homeland Security budget allocation here, 3.014 billion. TSA is getting some money, 208 million. It says for enhanced cleaning and investment in technology necessary to reduce physical contact with travelers. I mean, we got TSA pre-check. That seems pretty clean to me. No one's going to be touching me through that process. The Secret Service is getting 73 million for construction enhanced security screening and inspection equipment. The one I think that should get even more money is the Cyber Security and Infrastructure Security Agency. That's 53 million right now. But Secret Service is getting more than them. So I'm curious to know why it's prioritized that way. Because President Trump shut down the Chinese consulate recently in the past couple of weeks due to alleged theft of intellectual property. I'm glad FEMA's getting a lot more money, 150 million in comparison to the others, to enhance operations and improve networks and facilities to respond to unprecedented number of active disaster declarations. Now, what I'm concerned about is the FEMA grants. They're getting 930 million. On the next episode, we're going to discuss specifically why we're concerned about the FEMA grants. A little tidbit here is that President Trump had transferred money out of FEMA into construction of the border wall. And under the general provisions, I know some of y'all are concerned about the potential furloughs at the USCIS offices. I don't think that's going to be a problem anymore. Hopefully not, because this bill would authorize 1.22 billion as a loan per se to USCIS to address the potential shortfall. And plus, USCIS just increased their fees, which we have a video about that in our other channel, Immigration News by Ting Law. Now check this out. The legislative branch I mentioned earlier is getting $77 million. Just generally, they're just trying to ramp up their technology, which is true. That's important, but I just don't see how it needs to be costing that much. Yeah, it looks like they're just buying cleaning supplies, PPE, teleworking. So if you know folks in the fishing industry, they are getting a lot of assistance. They're getting 500 million for financial assistance. So hopefully they'll be all right. The Bureau of Prisons is getting 200 million. That's, from my understanding, that should be a good thing, because they need the medical services for the inmates. So check this out. We're looking at the defense, $29.4 billion. The most is going to the Army, 882 million. It's saying it needs to more or less construct and sustain of temporary facilities to separate individuals returning from OCONUS locations and purchasing non-medical PPE. It's kind of funny, because if the president didn't think the coronavirus was so important, why are they spending so much money with defense related to PPE and facilities where they can separate and learn, and facilities where they can maximize teleworking and distance learning? Oh yeah, distance learning. People wanted to have forcing colleges to have in-person classes in secondary school as well. Yet they want to give billions of dollars for the military for that. Seems a bit contradictory, don't you think? So just a couple nights ago, the Democrats passed a bill specifically to help the child care providers, daycare centers. It's called the Child Care is Essential Act. It was actually passed on a bipartisan basis, 249 to 163 vote, as to provide $50 billion as a fund for daycare centers. So keep that in mind. We'll see what the Senate will do on that, since the Republicans are only allocating $15 billion in the HEALS Act proposal this past Monday. It's pretty significant, because there's a survey that 47% of working families have lost ability to use a daycare facility, childcare. And according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there's 21.5 million workers in the US with a child under 6. So a bit more of a comparison for the housing relief for y'all out there. The Senate bill proposal, the HEALS Act, is only allocating 113.4 million, as opposed to the Democrats' proposal of 100 billion. So 100 billion in rental assistance by the Democrats versus 113 million. So we can see where the priorities lie for both parties. If you got value out of today's episode, please hit the subscribe button. This channel, when we're referring to any government bills, is mostly to see what's in the actual details of the bill, not just what's in the traditional media, mainstream media that's eye-catching, right? Of course we want the stimulus check. But again, who else is getting the pot? The government is. So stay tuned in our channel. Hit the like button. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the bill.